All right, so you heard there from Nate, and we've been telling you, of course, about the big shred day coming up on Saturday at Omni Community Credit Union on Capitol Avenue, and we've been talking with various sources about the importance of shredding documents, and among those sources that know best about identity theft and scams and all of that is the Better Business Bureau of Western Michigan, and Kathryn Crawford from the BBB joins us this morning. Kathryn, thanks for the time today.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Boy, when you hear identity theft, you probably just cringe because you hear it a lot.
Absolutely. We take calls almost daily with people that have fallen victim or are suspicious of something that has occurred.
So even though a lot of this happens by way of credit card skimming and online scams and things of that nature, there's still some old-fashioned components to this. That is to say, if there's sensitive information on a piece of paper and we just throw it in the trash, that's still risky, right?
Oh, absolutely. Identity thieves steal your personal information by going through your mail or trash, and they look for things like bank and credit card statements, pre-approved credit card offers, and tax information.
Boy. Now, some of those things don't have, like, Social Security numbers on it anymore. Does that help?
That does help, but there still is a lot of personal data. Your name, your birth date are also, personally identifying information. And when they get their hands on the right combination of information, they can wreak havoc.
My goodness. So a lot of us have decided to do the online thing with bank statements, and we don't get paper anymore. But is that the trend?
Well, I wouldn't say so. We shred quite a bit at each of our shred day events. We do it twice a year in the spring and the fall, usually at 3 to 5 different locations throughout West Michigan, and there's always plenty of documents to be shredded.
Yeah, and these events, like the one that we'll see at Omni Credit Union here in Battle Creek Saturday, they use these big trucks, and it's a split second and it's done.
Yes. We just we put the documents into a bin. They're attached to the trunk. The truck lifts up the bins, dumps the documents inside, shreds them instantly, and so you can be sure that your documents were disposed of securely. It's done right there on site, and usually takes a matter of minutes.
Do people often say when you when you conduct these things, "How do I know they're shredded?"
Some people do like to stand and watch their things be shredded, and there's no problem with that at all.
Yeah, it makes sense. I did that too. Do you give me a receipt or something? And it doesn't happen that way, but you can stand there and watch, and you just see this thing swallow this up. Now, do you have to, I had old checks, for example, that were still, like the copies that were connected to the checkbook itself. Do I have to tear all those out, or can these big shredders just handle it?
No, they can shred those, absolutely.
Good. So
anything that doesn't, you can put things that have staples and paper clips. Just can't have any type of binding. No, 3-ring binders, that sort of thing can't go in. But the smaller things can be shredded right along with the paper. Well, and it's a good opportunity to get rid of your credit cards that you don't need also.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you put sensitive documents onto a disk, for example, or those old credit cards, these things can chew those up too, right?
Yes.
Well, this is good to know, because we still, even though we're less paper focused than we used to be, is still important. So,
absolutely. In fact, last year, 2014, according to the Bureau of Justice, there were 17.6 million people in the U.S. that were victims of at least one identity theft. Wow. And this basically represents 7% of U.S. residents aged 16 and older. So that means almost 1 in 10 people will fall victim to identity theft in the next year. So it's the fastest growing crime in America, according to the Federal Trade Commission.
Well, that sounds about right, doesn't it? So when we have bank statements, how long do you recommend hanging on to those?
That you would want to consult with your tax advisor. If you do have sensitive documents that you do need to maintain for a period of time for tax purposes, make sure that those are secure in your home. That's especially important if you have roommates or if you have people outside help, like maybe a housekeeper, or maybe you hire contractors to come in and do some work on your house. Make sure that those personal documents aren't laying on the kitchen counter. Make sure they're in a secure location.
Mm-hmm.
You never know how your identity could be stolen.
Right. Yeah, that's another good point, that it's not a matter of throwing them in the trash and having them stolen all of the time. It could just be that an opportunity presents itself.
Absolutely. In fact, the majority of identity theft victims don't know how the offender obtained their information.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's really important to be vigilant. Sometimes it's even someone you know and trust that will steal your identity.
Yikes. All right. So how does the BBB try to mitigate some of this? You have your shred days. You have other ways that you do this as well?
Absolutely. We have information available. We do hand out some tips on everyday habits to safeguard your identity, and I could give you a couple of those.
Yeah.
For the shredding, making sure that anything that has personal sensitive information like credit card applications, insurance forms, financial statements, medical or health forms, billing statements for your utilities or even your phone service. Also, be sure to cut up any expired credit or debit cards and make sure that you cut through the numbers. You also want to protect your Social Security number, all your account numbers, and your passwords. Don't carry that information in your wallet, because if your purse or your wallet gets stolen, that information could fall into the wrong hands. It's also important to monitor bank and credit card transactions for unauthorized transactions. 48% of people discovered the incident when the financial institution contacted them about suspicious activity.
Mm-hmm.
Only 18% of people in 2014 discovered the identity theft when they noticed the fraudulent charges on their own accounts. So monitoring your accounts is really important.
All right. Well, we appreciate that. And you have a website, too, with this and other information on it, too, don't you?
Absolutely. Our website is very simple. You just go to bbb.org, pop in your zip code, and it'll take you to our homepage. And there's a lot of great information on how to protect yourself, not only from identity theft, but from other types of scams that target people in West Michigan as well.
All right. Thanks very much. We appreciate that. Kathryn Crawford with the Better Business Bureau of Western Michigan.